What's going on, everybody? Mic'd up Mike and Jack back here again with another sports talk. So before we kick off this sports talk, I have a little announcement to make. Jack doesn't know this, but there's only one person who knows about this announcement. And honestly, the announcement is that I have changed my beliefs. I think that the Lakers are going to win the championship this year. There's no question about it. I think that LeBron is a fantastic player. Also, by the way, I lost a bet. That's why I'm doing this. But anyways, LeBron's a fantastic player. Anthony Davis, one of the greatest to ever do it. I'm shocked by how the Lakers are performing this season. I think that the Nets, the Sixers, and whoever else is in the East, or the Suns and the Clippers don't stand a chance against them. They're truly one of the greatest legacies to ever be created. And yeah, I'm really excited to see what the Lakers do this season. So go Lakers. So anyways, guys, let's jump right into the video. So this week, well, we're in the middle of the season. We're not coming to an end, but it's getting there. You have 40 games in about for each team, and we're looking at the standings, and we were like, listen, we should just talk about what's going on. So on this episode, we're going to be talking about the East, specifically the top 8 seeds, and the 9th and the 10th seeds, to see who's really in the playoff picture, and discuss what we think about all the teams. So let's jump right into it. So starting with the 10th seed, we got the Indiana Pacers. Man, they've been such a boring team for the past couple of years. I don't even know what to say about them. But they got Caris LeVert. It seems like it's gonna be picking up soon, but I don't know, honestly. Nothing seems to be changing. It's been stagnant and it hasn't worked out for them. They need someone to come in, but again, it's a small market, so nobody's gonna really wanna, join that kind of squad. So I honestly feel bad for them. I don't see them really going anywhere anytime soon. They got a great player in Domantas Sabonis, great player in Caris LeVert, who actually just recovered. They've been the same since Paul George left in terms of standing. So I don't know, Jock. What's your opinion on this, bro?
So currently, by looking at the standings, the Indiana Pacers are 17-22. The last 10 games, they're 2-8. Just like Mike said, Indiana hasn't really been like a mainstream team the past couple of years. Yeah, they have a lot of decent players, but not really all-stars. Like Sabonis is an all-star, but he's very still underrated. Like he's not box office. Like people don't show up to Indiana to watch Sabonis. No offense, it's just how it is. They have Malcolm Brogdon, who's really good. He's like a potential 50, 90, 40 guy every season. Very efficient. Caris LeVert coming back from a very serious injury. Shout out to Caris LeVert battling that. And they also have Miles Turner. Miles Turner is very underrated center. He's very defensive-minded center. I think he's leading the league in blocks. So he's a very underrated defender. I know he's like a lot of teams have called the Indiana Pacers asking about the availability of Miles Turner. So we'll see how that works out. But I don't think Indiana's going to trade him because he's still very young. I don't think he's past 25 yet, and he's very good on the defensive side of the ball, which they need.
So next up is the Bulls. Again, as Jock said, the Knicks, Bulls, and the Pacers are all within a couple games of each other. So, I mean, it's whatever. But again, the Bulls also, nothing crazy has been coming from them in the recent years after the D-Wade and Rajon Rondo and Jimmy Butler. That Bulls thing just died down. Nothing crazy happened out of it. So they've also been pretty much the same team, and it's just like, again, I hope the best for them, but just Zach LaVine, man, like, I don't know. Lauri Markkanen has been doing all right, but I don't know if the Chicago Bulls have a good enough team for someone like Zach LaVine who's developed so much.
The Bulls are currently the 9th seed. They're 18-21. They're exactly one game back from the New York Knicks. The last 10 games, they've been 5-5. And just like Mike said, there's really not much going on with the Bulls right now, other than Zach LaVine. He's basically carrying that team. I know Lauri Markkanen has been injured. Wendell Carter has also been injured. So it's basically the Zach LaVine show down there in Chicago. But Zach LaVine has been going off. I think a couple of games ago, he had like 40 points, and it was like shooting at like 70% from the floor, which is out of this world. But I also agree with Mike that the Chicago Bulls aren't going to go anywhere. I don't think they're going to go far. And if they do make the AC, they got the 76ers or the Nets winning for them. So they're not going to really go far into the playoffs if they make it.
Next up, in the 8th seed, we have the New York Knicks. Listen, I understand that I'm a Knicks fan, and I know I talk about it a lot, and, I've been, making jokes along with the people who say the Knicks suck. But I'm going to tell you right now, the Knicks do not suck. The Knicks do not suck. The Knicks are really, really good, actually. We're the 8th seed right now. We have a crazy amount of potential as the Knicks organization. We got Julius Randle. RJ Barrett has went off recently. Emmanuel quickly has started starting. We also got some really good role players. We got Reggie Bullock. We got Elfrid Payton, who's been a great point guard. So we got a bunch of good players and a bunch of good talent. Just give it a few years and it'll develop. That's my only thing with the Knicks. And honestly, right now, they could be whatever seed. They could not be in the playoffs. They could be in the playoffs. Right now, it does not matter. Because I know in a couple of years, RJ Barrett and all them are going to really develop enough to be good enough to be higher in the ranking. So I'm not worried about them too much. But, Jock, what you got for us?
So, like Mike said, the New York Knicks are currently the 8th seed. They won tonight. They beat the Orlando Magic by 1 point.
Stop playing.
So, I'm assuming their record is 21-21. So, they're pretty close with the 7th, 6th, and 5th seeds. They're a half a game out, basically, and 1 game out from the 5th seed. So, it's basically also a toss-up. But yeah, the New York Knicks are actually one of the surprise teams of the season. The RJ Barrett has really stepped up recently. I know the last couple of games has been averaging like 25 points per game. Julius Randle has basically been their franchise player the last 2 years. He's stepped up this whole season. How I know this is because he's on my fantasy, and he's literally been averaging.
He's a god. He's a god.
Okay. He's been literally been averaging double-double, triple-double sometimes. He had a triple-double tonight. I think he had like 17 assists, like 18 points, and like 10 rebounds today. So yeah, Julius Randle has really stepped up this whole season. Emmanuel, like also Mike said, Emmanuel quickly, their surprise rookie, has also done a very good job, better than Opie Topman, who they drafted for the 8th pick.
He's gonna get there.
So we'll see with the Knicks. I mean, they can make the playoffs with the AC, but truly speaking, they're probably not gonna go far if the 76ers or the Nets are fully healthy. But in terms of future speaking, their future is very bright. They can be a much better team next season than this season.
Well spoken. Next up, we got at the 7th seed, standing in at exactly 500, 2020, we got the Boston Celtics. Man, I don't know, bro. Like, I've been watching these Boston Celtics. I became an NBA fan 3 years ago, to be honest. I haven't been an NBA fan for that long. But, they have a really, really, really strong core. And it's just like, when are you going to make progress? How are you going to be 20-20 now? It's kind of disappointing to see what's going on with them because I want to see them win. Like, honestly, even though, they're kind of the Knicks rivals, but, like, so I don't really want to see them win. But for now, like, while, the Knicks aren't, like, beating their asses, I want to see the Boston Celtics shine because they have the great core of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. They got, Kimball Walker. They got Robert Williams III. No, but he's a good defensive center. And so, they got a good team. It's just like they have to do something about it. And I don't know what it is because just like I don't even know. I don't know what the problem is, but hopefully they figure that stuff out.
The Boston Celtics are currently the 7th seed. They're 20-20. I would say the Boston Celtics are probably one of the most disappointing teams this season. I'm very surprised that they're 20-20. It's a very big drop off from last season. I don't know what's wrong with the Celtics. I also don't like the Celtics because I'm a Lakers fan, but I respect Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kimball Walker, Marcus Smart. It's a very good young core that they have. Probably one of the reasons why they're 20-20 is probably, Marcus Smart was injured with a calf injury, and he's a big part of that team. He's a great leader for them on the court, off the court. He's also big time defensively, so they probably missed, his intensity on that side of the ball. Also, Kimball Walker, he's coming off a knee injury that he was, recovering from during the offseason. So it took him probably a couple of weeks to get back, into form. So that's probably why. And also, they've been really up and down this whole season. Like, I know they win like 3 game, like they go on a 3 game winning streak, and then they go on like a 3 game losing streak, and then they go on a 4 game winning streak, and then they go on a 4 game losing streak. So they've been very inconsistent this season, and I actually don't know why. Maybe they need a big man to like help them, but they didn't have a big man last season, and they were perfectly fine. So the Boston Celtics are a very surprising team for me. I don't understand why they're 20-20.
Well, listen, the race is close. Like there's only the Hawks, the Hornets, the Heat, and then it just goes like up from there. But which we'll talk about. But the thing is, it's like, it's a really close race. And honestly, if the Boston Celtics could get their stuff together, then they'll be great. But we'll just have to wait and see what they got for us. So next up, what we have is coming at the 6th seed is the Hawks, the Atlanta Hawks. Listen, 6-game winning streak they went on. They've been doing great. Ever since Trae Young came into the league, I've been really rooting for them and wanting to see them be successful because Trae Young is an amazing player. He's changing the game. I think I said this before, but he's changing the game the same way Steph Curry is. People are starting to take shots from 40 feet out, and Trae Young is making them. You just look at like Damian Lillard and Trae Young are on the forefront of that. And honestly, those are some really unique players. The Hawks were thinking about trading John Collins before, but I'm honestly really happy for the Hawks that they didn't, because now they're really seeing the payoff in that, because they're doing really good. And Danilo Gallinari, Bogdan Bogdanovic, they all come back from their injuries, and I knew from when I saw that news that they're going over to the Hawks, it was going to be a great addition. They needed that, and so yeah, they're doing really good. I think compared to the Boston Celtics, they're actually the surprise team of the season.
So the Atlanta Hawks are currently the 6th seed. They're 20-20. They're tied with the Boston Celtics with a 6th and 7th seed right now. The Atlanta Hawks had a really good offseason. They signed Gallinari, Bogdan. They traded for Clint Capella last season. What else? They have very good young promising players like Trae Young, Cam Reddish, DeAndre Hunter. They also have John Collins, as Mike said, that thank God they didn't, they're not traded because he's a big part of that team. So yeah, the Hawks, they're very young, so I'm not really surprised that they're 20-20 because they're still learning how to win as a team. They also fired their head coach during the, I think, in the beginning of the season. So I think their head coach now is Nate McCullen, who's very defensive-minded, oriented head coach. So he's probably, really instilling in that team to play defense first and then offense second, which I think is very helpful for younger players. But yeah, the Hawks, just like the Knicks, they have a very bright future. They have a very good mix of young players and veterans on that team. So that helps a lot with when you're trying to, build a team. So maybe in terms of future-wise, I think they will be up there in the standings. Probably not this season because obviously they're 20-20. But like next season, I wouldn't be surprised if they're in the top 3 or in the top 4 seed with a much better record. I don't think they'll be 20-20 next season. But yeah, Trae Young is ascending to one of the best players in the league. Like Mike said, he's shooting it from everywhere. His range is just like Curry. 40 feet down, 30, 50 feet down from half court. This guy can shoot it from everywhere. And I'm honestly shocked because his size and his weight is just ridiculous. He's only like 6 foot and like 170. I'm shocked that he's not getting bullied more. And he's efficient. He's been shooting it efficiently. So yeah, he's also their franchise player. I would assume that he's their leader. They probably all look up to him. So yeah, so good for the Hawks. They're building for now and they're building for the future. So I wouldn't be surprised if next season they're much higher in the standings and they are much better record than what they are right now.
Let's jump right into the next team. We got the Charlotte Hornets. Now, check this out. The Charlotte Hornets, I didn't have too high expectations for them. I did not know how LaMelo was going to perform in the beginning of the season because LaMelo's a great player. I knew he was going to be a great player, but I didn't know when. But he just came in and started, he started ruining the league in a good way. Like he took that Charlotte Hornets team and made it good. And with the addition of Gordon Hayward, that really made it all amazing. And Miles Bridges has really also picked up his stuff. And I feel like the team has really become good because of LaMelo. LaMelo is that type of player. He's kind of like Chris Paul in that sense, where as soon as he arrives at a team, he makes everybody around him better. So that's something I really appreciate from players who are like point guards, because that's their role. And he's creating for his teammates. He's boosting the morale, and he's making great shots. Putting up good numbers. Yeah, so I'm really proud of LaMelo. I'm really proud of the squad of the Charlotte Hornets. They've been really needing this because they were struggling. Kimball Walker, they were always that 8th seed, whatever nonsense. Terry Rozier also good. Devontae Graham is all right. But, I'm really happy to see the Hornets finally doing something really exciting.
The Charlotte Hornets are the 5th seed right now. They're currently 20-19. And the Charlotte Hornets was really surprised me this season. I thought they were all going to be bottom of the league again. But they're one of the surprising teams in the league. And like Mike said, they have an amazing young core. They have LaMelo Ball, Devontae Graham. Malik Monk has also stepped up the last couple of games. He's been really good. PJ Washington also has some big-time games this season. Miles Bridges also has really been stepping up this season. I know like last season people were saying, oh, he's just a dunker and everything. But this season he's like truly developed his all-around game. I know he's, assisting more, he's rebounding more, he's blocking more, he's obviously scoring points more now. So yeah, that team has really come along. And I think one of the biggest reasons, like Mike said, was because of LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball is probably going to be the Rookie of the Year. I think he's a runaway with it. But Anthony Edwards is a close second. Don't disregard Anthony Edwards. I think he's a really good player. I just think LaMelo Ball does so much more for the Charlotte Hornets in turn. Like
Emmanuel Quickly is a close third.
Oh, okay, yes, Emmanuel Quickly is a close third. But yeah, LaMelo Ball's literally been averaging almost triple-double every game. And sometimes I see him 18 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, like 20 points, 9 assists, 6 rebounds, like those type of things. And he's involving his teammates, which has been helping the team tremendously.
Let's move up to the 4th seed now. This team, I know Jock is a little bit scared of. He's like trembling in his boots. But we got the Miami Heat. Listen, this season they started off, I was like, wow, that's sad. They were doing terrible. They were like, how do you come off a championship run? Like, and you also you didn't just get swept. You went 4-2, and then you're doing this bad. I was like, no way. And then people were calling them like they were just, it was just in the bubble. They were just like that. And I was like, no way, come on. Like, this is Jimmy Butler, this is Tyler Hero. But man, they picked it up. They picked it up, and they picked it up good. I'm really happy for them. They've been doing great. Jimmy Butler is truly one of my favorite players, I think, to ever play the game. He's really passionate, he's really hardworking, and he has a great group of guys surrounding him. And Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson. But they also picked up Trevor Ariza. Right?
Mm-hmm.
They also picked up Trevor Ariza, which is going to be a great addition. They have so many shooters. And yeah, I think they're set for another championship run. I would not be surprised if they make it to the finals, but we'll just have to see because there's some tough competition in the East this year, man. And I don't know, but really happy for the Heat.
The Miami Heat are currently the 4th seed. They're 22-19. They pretty much had a roller coaster season so far. Like Mike said, in the beginning, they were really bad. Like, they were at the bottom of the league, and maybe like many were saying, it's probably because the layoff wasn't too much. Like they only had a 2-month break, so they were probably tired as a team. So some were saying that, or they just got off to a slow start like any other team. Like the Celtics got off to still in a slow start. But the Miami Heat have really picked it up lately. I know in the beginning of the season they've battled some COVID issues, some injuries, and Bam Adebayo had to really step up his game, and he was a leader for some time for that team. Now they're just getting all of their players back, and Jimmy Butler, the last 15, 20 games or so, has really been big time. I would not be I'll be shocked that he wouldn't win Defensive Player of the Year because each game he has 3-4 steals a game. He's averaging nearly double-double, sometimes triple-double. He's putting up sometimes 20 points, 10 assists, 8 rebounds. He's basically taken it over since he's come back from the COVID list. And so The Miami Heat, last season they played my Los Angeles Lakers. I think it was a fluke that they made it that far, but good for them. I think they have a lot of great players. They have a lot of two-way players that are really good on that team. Just like Mike said, they got Trevor Ariza from the Miles Leonard trade. He's like an Andre Iguodala in a sense, but I think he's a better shooter than Andre Iguodala. But both players bring it defensively on that side of the ball very well. So is Jimmy Butler. Kendrick Nunn is very good. Goran Dragic is one of the best, one of the underrated guards in the league. They also have obviously Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero, which are lights out from the three line. They also have Bam Adebayo, who sometimes literally runs their offense, who's virtually their point guard sometimes, and he's also a very good two-way player. He brings it on the offensive side of the ball and defense side of the ball, and he's one of the best big men in the game. So the Miami Heat, they have a very balanced offense. Their defense is very good. I think they're a very underrated team. And, I wouldn't be surprised if they make it far in the playoffs because they have hard-nosed defensive players that can, stop like players like Giannis, KD, now Harden that's on the Nets, Kyrie. So they can give a lot of teams a lot of issues.
Anyways, next up, in third, listen, we got the Bucks. I don't even want to talk about the Bucks, man. Like, this has been the same thing for the past 3 years. Like, Giannis, great player, Chris Middleton, great player. Dante DiVincenzo is cool. What's his name? Drew Holiday. What has he been doing? I don't know. The Bucks, they're a good team, but like, when are they gonna finally do something? How do you lose to the Heat? How do you do all these things? Like, I don't know. It's just getting kind of tiring. I want to see Giannis be successful because he's an amazing player. He's truly great. It's kind of like LeBron was in 2009. Like he kept on doing good with the Cavs and everything, but like nothing came out of it. I feel like if they add the right pieces, like I feel like adding Drew Holiday was a great addition this year, but I really haven't heard much about him. I haven't heard much about the Bucks in general. So we'll just have to wait and see. I'm not going to underestimate them because I know that they're a great team, but are they going to beat the Nets and the Sixers? I don't think so.
So the Milwaukee Bucks are currently the third seed. They're 26-14. And, the Bucks, just like Mike said, they, the last 3 years have been virtually the same for them. But Giannis is a two-time MVP. He's won it the last 2 years. And he's really stepped up lately. He's been averaging, I know he had 3 straight triple-doubles. And they just beat the 76ers last night in OT. But that was also without, Joel Embiid. So it doesn't really, you can't really count that as like, great win for them. But they did beat the 76ers. So, the Bucks, it's like a wait and see with the Milwaukee Bucks. They're, a lot of people were saying like, oh, they're just a regular season team, but they're not a playoff team. And that could be true. 2 seasons ago, the Raptors beat the Bucks. They had, I would say, Giannis stoppers with Pascal Siakam and Kawhi Leonard and et cetera and et cetera. And last season, of course, the Miami Heat, they, Giannis stoppers, but with Jimmy Butler, Andre Iguodala, so-and-so, And so it's more of a wait and see with the Milwaukee Bucks. They're very good. Just like Mike said, they have Drew Holiday, but in my opinion, they should have never traded for Drew Holiday, especially what they gave up for Drew Holiday. They gave up, I think, like 5 first-round draft picks for Drew Holiday, which is, it's outrageous. They just recently traded for PJ Tucker as of yesterday, I think. So we'll see how that goes. But PJ Tucker also, he's a very streaky player. Some games he goes off at the three-point line, but then there's other games where he's like literally nowhere to be found. But he's also a grit and grind player, so, he should help that team out very well. I know they have Brook Lopez, who's a very good center. Who's one of the most underrated centers in the league. But just like I said, it's a wait and see with the Bucks. We'll see how the playoffs goes. Giannis has to really step up in these playoffs. So does Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton the last 2 seasons has just basically has been non-existent in the playoffs. Like, he has been horrible in the playoffs. Like, I remember last season when they were playing the Miami Heat in the second round, I think, or in the third round, Chris Middleton was like literally nowhere to be found at all. Like, zero. Like, It's like this man forgot how to play.
The issue is that if you're already saying you need Giannis stoppers, that means that there's only one player who could really help you win. If Giannis is stopped, who's gonna get you there? Okay, you got Chris Middleton, but who else is gonna get you there? Nobody. Nobody on the Bucks could really help, and that's always been their issue. Giannis could take this team to 82-0, but as soon as they start facing the really good teams that know how to stop Giannis, there's nobody that could take them over that. They need somebody to go over there, go over to Milwaukee, and help them out. So the last two seeds that we got are the top two. They're tied right now at first and second. Well, not first, but you good?
Yeah.
It's the 76ers and the Nets. Listen, the Nets doing great, unfortunately. They got, as soon as they got James Harden, they became a top tier team. At first I was like, wow, this is a terrible decision. But it ended up being a great decision for them. Obviously, it paid off. James Harden adapted to the role completely well. I was really shocked. And I take back all about what I said about James Harden not being able to adapt to his role. But he's obviously proven me wrong. Really proud of that team. I think that they're finals contenders. Championship contenders. So there's nothing much to say. You know, KD, Kyrie, they're all working out. Really happy for that. And the 76ers, man, also great team. You know, they started off from the bottom. Everybody was like, trust the process, trust the process. And everybody was like, no, nobody's going to do that process. But guess what? They ended up on top, bro. They're on first seed right now. So that's really good for them. You know, they surrounded Ben Simmons with the shooters he needs. They got Joel Embiid, who's literally running for MVP right now. There's not really much to say about them from my end because, you know, we'll just have to wait and see.
The Brooklyn Nets are tied with the 76ers right now. They're both 26 and 13. The Brooklyn Nets...
28 and 13.
Oh, 28 and 13, sorry. The Brooklyn Nets, they're a very serious team. They're a very serious threat to my Lakers, I think. They're a legit finals team. With Kyrie, KD, James Harden... Joe Harris has really stepped it up this season. DeAndre Jordan, Jeff Green, Bruce Brown has also stepped it up. I think that's his name. And then Nicholas Claxton, right? The young center of theirs. They just got Blake Griffin.
Oh, right. Forgot about that.
Who else is on that team?
Landry Shamet
that they got from the Los Angeles Clippers. So, yeah. And... regarding the 76ers, I'm not surprised. The fact that they're the top two seed, the 76ers are very deep. They really added a lot of great pieces during the offseason. Daryl Morey did a really good job come from the Houston Rockets, you know, adding Doc Rivers, who's a very seasoned head coach. He's been around since I've been born, basically. He's been coaching since like 2000, starting with the Orlando Magic, then I think the Boston Celtics, then the Clippers, and now with the 76ers. So Doc Rivers, and he won a championship with the Boston Celtics, so he knows how to win a ring. Daryl Morey also added Denny Green, Seth Curry. So he added a lot of shooters, like Mike said, around Ben Simmons, because Ben Simmons is not a shooter. You need shooters around Ben Simmons. On top of that, they have Tobias Harris, who's also very underrated. He's coming along very good the last couple of games, especially with Joel Embiid out. But if they're all healthy, you know, the 76ers can give a run for the Nets, the Bucks, you know, the whole East. And I wouldn't be surprised if the 76ers make it to the finals. They're just as deep. They're much better than they were last year. They have a lot more spacing with them. And if Joel Embiid comes back pre-injury, you know, Joel Embiid's basically the MVP. So, shout out to the 76ers. They've been doing really good this season.
They're going to beat the Lakers. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for coming back to another video of Sports Talk. If you guys liked it, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share if you're bored, as usual. And, yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one. We got a big news of the week coming up this week from our guy here.
Part 2 will be coming next Thursday. Next week we'll be doing about the West.
Yes, sir.